board appointed by the City Council, and we serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is the petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward, state your name for the record, and present his or her request. The board will ask any questions they may have, and then anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinions. Each side will have 10 minutes to speak. All comments should be about the project being presented. This is not a venue to air personal grievances. If you hear the gavel, you are out of order, and if you persist, you will be removed from the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item is concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render a decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architectural Review Board are final. Any person having a request for a certificate of appropriateness denied by the board may appeal such denial to the Montgomery County Circuit Court. Any such appeal shall be filed with the Circuit Court within 30 days of receipt of the notice of the final decision of the board. We have 6 members present, and I understand 2 are almost here.
We have 7.
Oh, 7 members of the board. It takes 5 votes to pass a motion. Because of the number of members present, if you would like to delay your request, please let us know the time your project is announced. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce members of the Architectural Review Board. Cedric Campbell.
Present.
Elizabeth Brown. Jake Johnson. Barry Robinson. Thank you. John Hayden. Thank you, John. Sam Youse. Thank you. Hillary Morgan and Katie Williams and Kalia Bell. Yay. All right. Land use staff. Paula Wade. Andrea Spriggs. Warren Adams and Russell Stringer. All right. First project. Leon Harris, 3123 Norman Bridge Road. A project that we all should be familiar with.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here at your mercy, I guess, you have to say that. I'm here asking for the approval.
You need to get your, yeah, because I can't hear you.
Okay. I'm here to ask for your approval for the circular driveway, and also just to have an overhang over the steps and put a walkway in leading to the driveway. You approved last meeting to take out the bay windows and go back with the existing windows. What I'm asking for today is the approval for the circular driveway, a walkway, and extend the cover of the overhang an additional 4 feet to cover the steps, where it would be, I guess, guest-friendly, inviting, and possibly to close in that side porch, which is not functional at this time. If we can't do the windows, if we can just glass it completely in, where it can be livable, and we can use it for a sitting area to extend from the little front room. Just make it overall functional. And whatever you all suggest in regards to windows, siding, bricks, you know, I'm favorable of that, and I just want to have it functional where we could use it. Because right now, sitting on porches, it's just, to me, it's not.
I'll certainly agree, it's not a very inviting entrance, is it? There's just not enough room there. Comments from the board?
Mr. Pardon me, Mr. Harris, you wanted to use stucco on the enclosure of the porch
Stucco.
instead of brick to match the house. I think that would kind of stand out, don't you think?
Yeah, it would. The stucco definitely would. We could use bricks. We could go back with the existing bricks for the porch to make it flow and blend with the consistency of the house.
I mean, that would certainly, I think, look a lot better since you don't have, I mean, I've seen houses that were done prior to, I live in the CIA just like you. I've seen houses that, here's the original house and here's an addition that is obviously an addition because it's not the same material.
Right.
I don't have much concern with extending the front porch, the porch alterations, or the porch enclosure as long as it's brick. I have trouble with the driveway, the circular driveway. 10 feet wide plus adding a walkway would take a large portion of your front yard out of grass space, and that I can understand it being convenient to have such a driveway. I wish I could put one in my front yard. I can't.
It's not taken away from the grass area. Now, I've noticed, I've rode through the neighborhood and I noticed where it is that there have been circular driveways put in and small grass areas are there in the front. With that being said, 10 feet, we can bring that down to 8 feet, and that'll give us more grass area. But what I'm trying to do is make it friendly. Right now, it's not. I mean, to have guests coming in and walking on grass, it's not. I notice whereas throughout the neighborhood, people have pavement, pavers, and gravel. If I can meet what they have, or something to be accommodating and be inviting.
Well, I understand. I've seen several of those myself. I understand some of those were probably added prior to this area being designated historic. I think some may have been added afterwards.
No, sir. On Felder, there's quite a few that have been added.
I understand.
Yeah.
Again, I drive the neighborhood quite often. I see them some places. All right.
The only thing to me, it would give more appearance to the house, to the street itself, period. Right now, it's just sitting there, with nothing accommodating, nothing where it's going to help me to receive my guests coming through a grass area. Now, I noticed where there are people have put gravel, pea gravel and crushed one down and bordered it off, and they're using that as walkways and parking paths. But I don't want gravel. I want to put pavement, and the existing driveway, as I'm looking here to the right, that needs to be torn out and new driveway put in. And
What's your driveway right now, Mr. Harris?
pardon me?
What is your driveway made of that leading to the back? Is that concrete?
The other side is concrete, and the older side, the right side, is old broken concrete with gravel in it.
And what material do you want to use for the circular driveway? You mentioned
Concrete. I want to use
concrete.
Concrete, and I want to outline it with the old red brick.
Similar to the color of your house?
Yes. And they said it was a requirement to have some form of shrubbery there in the front going around the outer edges. I want to use the dwarf. I can't remember the name of it. They said miniature dwarf boxwood. They were.
something to hide, something to kind of hide the
Exactly.
driveway when you're driving by. That way you don't just, your eyes not
Right,
drawn
right.
to a driveway.
To have it neatly landscaped.
Mr. Harris, I mentioned last month that I had concern about the drive in the front as well. I understand your concern about having a walkway to the front of the house and would not be opposed to that, but I still feel like that there's a drive going all the way around the house to the back that would help with getting in and off traffic on Norton Bridge Road. It is a busy street, I understand that, but that's just, I still feel like it will take away some. That's my opinion. So for me, a sidewalk, I would not be opposed to, but putting a drive in the front, I would be.
Okay, now, with the driveway, it's not gonna go completely around. It's gonna,
It looks like it does now.
well, it's halfway. The rest of it is grass, gravel, dirt, and mixture of this and that.
Okay.
And everything. What I wanted to do is secure the back of my house. Wall that in, where is that gated. When I leave, I'll have some form of security for my property. And right now, there's a gate to the left. It was a plan for the house next door to it, that we was going to tear that house down and put a fence across there. We're no longer going to do that. Okay, it's a long story. We want to put the wall there at the edge of the house where I can secure it and close that porch in where there won't be a thoroughfare to cross through. And I got a gate on the left side there already in place that we use to lock to secure.
Mr. Harris, let's talk about the porch for a minute.
Ma'am,
Let's talk about the covering in the porch for a minute.
to cover over the steps?
Closing in the porch. There are two basic ways you can do this. One you can do, as John suggested, and have it be brick, and then it's going to look like an addition to your house. It's not going to look like a porch anymore. Another way would be to have sort of build a wall that's got lattice on the outside and glass on the inside, like glass in the porch with heavy-duty lattice over it, so that it still looks like a porch. And if you've got that, you don't need to do the windows because you've got glass behind the lattice, and do two sides like that. And then that back side where you need to put a door, you could stucco that or brick that because it's not going to be seen.
Ms. Brown, whatever you all suggest, whatever you all are favorable of, I'm for it. Only thing I want to do is make it conducive where is that it can be functional. I can use it. My grandkids can come and sit down and watch television out there, play out there, games and everything. Right now, it's not.
All right, I agree.
Whatever your suggestions are, I'm all for it. If you approve it, good.
Right, I think that it would be a better idea. It's not as big a yard when you get out there as you think it might be. Right? We're extending the porch already, so it's going to be less. And then you want to put a driveway and still have some yard there. I would be more amenable to pulling a pull-off over the drive right in front of what is now the porch and is going to be the room, and then do a walk from there to the front door, to the front porch, the new front porch, to go in the house.
With the driveway will be at the walkway won't be no more than 24 to 36 inches.
If it's not circular, it will be. If you're parking over in front of you have a pull-off in front of the porch, and then you're walking from there to the front door, rather than have a circular driveway. Does anybody else understand? I should have drawn pictures.
Yes, ma'am, I'm with you. I understand.
You get what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
So you want that on the right side of the house?
That would be the right side of the house. Or you can do it on the left side of the house, either one. Whichever one he prefers.
Now, you're saying having a walkway coming to the right of the house?
To the right or to the left, either way you wanted to do it. But it would be easier to put a pull-off on the other side of the house because that porch is recessed from the front facade of the house. You've got some space there.
So that leaves me with backing into the street or having my guests
Well, I was assuming
using the driveway to the left to go around to the back and turn around and come out.
I was assuming, from what I could look at on the Google Earth, it looked like it was paved all the way around the house, and you could just you go behind the house with the circular driveway rather than go in front of the house. Is everybody ready to vote on the porch? Oh, I haven't asked for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this project? Mr. Colvin, I knew you would come.
Charlie Colvin with the Cloverdale Idlewild Neighborhood Association, the CIA. Talking about this, we're willing to defer to the board on the circular drive and the front porch stoop. We're not smart about how that preserves the look of the building. It's an interesting problem because the building was approved without the bays. The bays were added, and he's restoring it back to what it was originally and then deviating from that again. So it's a kind of a convoluted change to the building, but the CIA does oppose the enclosure of the porch. We do that almost on general principle, but it changes the nature of the house.
Okay. Any other comments? Further comments from the board? May I have a motion on the
You want to take these one at a time, Madam
Let's
Chair,
do-
since I think they're all,
Excuse me, may I?
yes, sir.
If we can't do the full circular driveway, can we do a pad, a gravel pad there in the front of the house, as I've seen throughout the others?
We'd have to, if we deny the circular drive, you can certainly resubmit or submit for a parking pad. We generally don't want cars parked in front of the homes where it kind of blocks, but if you have a parking pad off to the side, one left side, right side of the house, that's possible.
I'm seeing things different than what you're saying to me right now. I've noticed throughout the neighborhood where there are gravel pads, paved pads in front of the house, people are, it's not consistent.
All right, concerning the extension of the front stoop, I move to approve as presented.
Say that again.
As far as the front stoop, the extension of, was it 4 feet, Mr. Harris, for the front stoop?
Yes.
Add 2 columns?
Yes.
Okay.
It's no,
Sir?
it's no stoop, it's just a cover over the step. We're not putting a landing in there.
Okay.
We're just covering the steps.
You're covering what's already there?
Yes.
Okay. I move to approve that as presented.
Second.
all in favor? Opposed?
Jake?
Does that-
I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you.
That passes. Now, let's talk about the closing in of the porch. I'm not helping you here.
Well, no, I was just looking at something. I mean, I looked at this, thought about this afternoon before the meeting. I really don't think closing in the porch would really substantially alter the look of the house. For that reason, I'm going to move that the board approve that the enclosure of the porch, provided that Mr. Harris use brick instead of stucco brick to match the house. Is that okay, Mr. Harris?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Is there a second to that motion?
Mr. Harris, the landing is gonna be pointed towards the house you live in, right? Just wanna make sure I'm looking at it right.
The house that I'm living in is going to be facing Norman Bridge Road, and the porch is facing the driveway that's going to be blocked off with a privacy fence there.
But the steps are coming off the driveway, right?
No, sir.
They're not.
Steps will be to the back,
Steps are to the back.
of the porch.
Okay. So that's where the door is gonna be on the back side.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll second the motion, John.
Right, the motion was that it to be approved as long as it was brick.
Ms. Brown, your microphone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. The motion was that it could be approved as long as it was brick rather than
Stucco.
Stucco, correct, provided that it brick to match the house.
And it was seconded, so let's vote on that. All in favor of that motion? All opposed? All right, that one doesn't pass.
Well, I need Campbell and Youst to vote, please.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm for it.
You're for it? You're for it? So 4-3, motion does not carry.
Okay. All right. Yes, let's have, Khalil wants a bit of discussion on the closing in the porch.
And the reason I want to have a bit of discussion is right across the street, you have a house that seems to have done exactly what you are attempting to do. You can't hear me, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Right across the street, there's a house that has a porch very similar to yours. They have somewhat enclosed, not somewhat, they have enclosed theirs with windows.
It looks like doors,
Yeah,
doors or windows.
Right, and it's almost floor to ceiling. I would be more apt to accept that rather than a wall of brick and or stucco, because it allows the character of the house to remain, but it gives you that enclosure that you're looking for. If you were, say that one.
Mr. Harris, we can't hear you. You have to speak into the mic.
Whatever you all wish and approve, I'm favorable. I
Well,
just want it where is that it can be used, lived in, functional, and right now, I don't sit on front porches.
I got you. I understand. I believe that style porch will give you what you're looking for. And
It'll look like a
allow-
sun porch rather
Yes,
than,
a sun porch.
but it'll still look like a porch.
Very much so.
All right.
So, Kalia, can I ask,
Yes.
Mike, can you flip through the pictures? Mr. Harris, can you tell us which one we would see from Norman Bridge Road? Because I think what shows on the pictures north and south may be a little different. Mike, can you flip to the elevation?
That's the front of it, right?
That's the front.
That's from Norman Bridge Road?
Yes.
Facing
Okay.
Norman Bridge Road. That's
And,
side to-
and Ms. Bell, you're saying, Mike, scroll down to the next one. You're saying more two windows is what you're
No,
looking for?
what,
That's to the right side.
You have to look at this house right here.
it's it looks like more like doors. It looks like a sun porch
Yeah, I'm
now,
looking.
rather than.
If it's that style, if it's that style, I'm all for it. But I just do believe that adding all that stucco and or brick, because the brick is never going to match.
So you're saying full window like this one?
Yes.
Which will give him still the enclosure, yet the light and the livable space.
So if that's the case, don't we need to tell them about the size of that window? Or
Or you need to delay and request revised drawings that have those dimensions.
I think that's a good idea.
yeah.
Okay. What we're saying here is that a porch that's enclosed like the one that's across the street from you, which looks like it's either French doors or French windows that fill in that space, that would make it still look like a porch, and that would be acceptable.
That's fine.
All right?
That's
But
livable.
you need to provide us Can he provide staff with drawings?
No, ma'am, he can provide the board with drawings.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just trying to help you. I'll make a motion that we can approve the enclosure of the porch as long as it's done in such a way that it looks like a sun porch, which is to say that it's largely glass with floor-to-ceiling doors or windows.
Okay.
Except on the backside where you need to put a door, and then you could fill that in solid. That's not going to be seen from the street.
Okay, that can.
So
can
you
use
could,
Stain, smoke, clear, what you
Clear.
suggest? Smoke glass,
Clear?
clear?
You can have an E-film on it because you really won't see that, and the E-film will help with solar gain. I know that's the west because my house also, the side of my house faces the west and it gets hot. I put up awnings, that made the difference. Made it very livable. That would be porchy too.
So in other words, case them all in. Okay, great.
All right.
So
So
Ms.
Ms.
Brown,
Brown,
is he working with you and staff on that, or it seems
Miss-
like it still needs to be a little bit more?
there would still have to be if you're gonna refer it back to staff, then it still has to have a motion.
She who must be obeyed says that we have to look at it again. So we will look at it again.
So then I
So
need a
that's our
motion to delay.
recommendation to you that you do that.
Yeah.
All right, and now we need to discuss the circular driveway in the front yard.
Ms. Brown, I still need a motion to delay that portion of it.
All right.
Motion to delay.
Second.
All in favor? There
Thank
we
you.
go. All right. Now, circular driveway. Don't all jump at once.
Okay, all right. In looking at the overall plan of your house, like the site plan of your house, the driveway that you have on the left side looks to be newer because we couldn't find it on the aerial on Google. That amount of concrete is more than really what most people have. Like, it's very substantial. And, yes, and coupled with your lane on the right-hand side, it just, adding more concrete is literally taking away most of the grass. If the left-hand side drive wasn't there, I might be more apt to consider, but because there's so much concrete on the left-hand side, I am not in favor of the semicircle driveway in the front because it takes up too much grass.
That drive was put there from an RV to go in and out,
Yeah.
and
I remember
things
that.
have changed since then. We are now trying to make it safe for my grandkids to come in and out, for myself to come in and out. Backing up on Norman Bridge Road is not healthy.
I understand.
I'm just trying to make it safe and friendly. That's all it is.
Well, that area, I understand friendly when you live in an area where people actually walk, but Norman Bridge foot traffic, that's not the foot traffic you really want to invite.
I'm not speaking.
So, you kind of want your grass. You want, you want the grass. And still, with that concrete pad there, that's a lot of concrete. And I really don't know what to say other than that. That's a lot of concrete.
Well, I can take you to a location now. 740 Felder, that they have just a small section there in the front in the driveway, and they have a large driveway, backyard paved going all the way to the rear. And that was just recently done. I've watched that go up.
You're right. And I think that the number of people requesting driveways in the front of their house reached a point that neighborhood people could no longer accept it.
Yeah, that's the one that was.
That's supposed to be a public way to invite people and show off your house. It's just not a place to be parking on the front yard. the person at 740 swore to me that no one would ever park on the driveway in their front yard, and I swear to you, every time I go to the grocery store, there's somebody parked in front of their house. And they do have a big backyard, and they do have a driveway that goes all the way to the back. So I think that you're unfortunately suffering from the fact that finally people said enough. And it's very hard to get us to agree to let anybody else put a circular driveway in their front yard. That's just the way it is. Nobody ever liked it, but we put up with it. But we're not putting up with it anymore.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I do understand what you're saying in that regards. But when you see someone else coming in, I think what you just said, coming in, putting circular driveways in, and putting paths and small walkways, it's hard to accept that. You know, it's very hard. And which is going to make it safer for me, my family members, and it's going to be friendly for my guests coming in. And I don't think the concrete that's already in place is excessive. And it's not going to take up that much of the yard, the green area. There are yards out there with less green than I'm proposing.
So, Madam Chair, are you ready for a motion?
We can either make a motion to deny the driveway, or we can make a motion to delay it till, since we're obviously going to have to talk next month about the sun porch, we can delay it till then.
I move to deny the driveway in front of the house for it will take away from the character of the house.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Opposed? How are you voting? Opposed? John, are you opposed?
No, I voted for it.
For it, thank you.
All right.
I mean,
So, and as it stands, no driveway?
No
That's what you're
driveway
saying?
as it stands. We delayed it, but we can, if you want to consider it again, you can come back again and we'll consider
No
it.
driveway, no walkway, no friendly?
You can have a
Receiving, yes.
you can have a walkway to the driveway, yes.
if you want to resubmit that, walkways from your driveways, yes, sir, Mr. Harris, you can, as an alternative to having a circular driveway, you can certainly submit that when you come back.
Thank you.
Mr. Harris, one other thing, you mentioned putting a privacy fence up on one side. That wasn't in your packet. Okay, good.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
So
I think we
can we-
accomplished a lot tonight.
Can we come back before the board in regards to the driveway?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Second project, Leif, Dumm, 1419 South Perry, 118 Clanton Avenue, 1405 South Perry, all of which is a complex of buildings.
Y'all do have a letter of support from Glenn and Vinay that was handed out to you prior to the meeting.
Yes, I got that. Okay, we got them. We got those. Oh, pictures. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leif Dumm. I represent the owners of the aforementioned properties. The Perry Street Apartments, formerly known as the Essex House, located at South Perry and Clanton Avenue. It's a total of 4 buildings. 3 of them are for tenants and condo owners. The owners acquired the property the second week of November of last year, and remodeling started Monday, the 14th of November. This building has never been on any historic list. But over the course of the last 103 years, with so many owners, no true preservation has ever been done, including the individual or the corporation who decided to paint over the red bricks, which I know you guys do not like. The remodel has a set loan limit. And with this project being so big, time has also become money. To replace all 315 windows, the price is well over $500,000. Originally, the owners were going to go with aluminum. They are going with vinyl. The replacement for all the windows is $48,000 plus labor. We are remodeling one building at a time. At the end, the brick will be laid around the windows and then painted as per one of the palette colors for the Historic Society. Each window that we are replacing is energy efficient and based on safety standards for the tenants. It is a classic double hung window, 6x6 panels, or as old language called lights, just like the original ones. The buttons are inside the glass. Last month, your only concern with another project manager with the vinyl windows was you didn't believe they would hold up to the Alabama heat, which I had a good chuckle. You see, I own a home in southern Arizona, Tucson to be exact, which my wife and I have owned since 2016. The past owners replaced half the windows in 2004 with vinyl, and in 2017 we replaced the other half. Our summers are from April to November, with the hottest months between June and September, where the temperatures do not drop below 90 degrees at night and go to 110 to 122 during the day.
Sir, may I interrupt you just for a second?
Sorry?
Ms. Bell, your microphone.
Oh, may I interrupt you just for a second?
Yes,
You're just asking for permission to replace the windows, correct?
that's correct.
Okay. I mean, I'm ready.
Did you bring a window
Yeah,
for us to look at, a sample window?
It's in the pictures.
Where is the picture of the window that you want to? In there? Okay.
I was getting hot listening to you, so I just figured.
Okay. This? This?
Which page are we looking at, Ms. Brown?
We don't
It's
have.
not, I'll
Yeah,
pass
yeah,
it.
come look- you have to come look at this one.
The one's on the bottom. Okay.
Okay. There aren't any windows that are the size of the original windows? Yeah, I got you.
The bottom two pictures. Window replacements need to be the same size as the original windows, and I don't think we'd have any problem approving. Yes.
Mr. Dumm, I need you to go back to the microphone, please.
I don't think anybody on this board can look at the pictures that you provided and not see that the windows need replacing. And
There are other vinyl windows and properties around the Garden District and Old Cloverdale, which is the next one over,
right?
including colored glass.
Well, I think the colored glass is something that somebody painted on the inside. It's not colored glass. But the windows need to match the original windows in size and configuration, and these don't match the originals in size and configuration. A lot of windows that have been replaced, even with vinyl and other things, are sometimes done without coming to the board, and we don't ever catch it because nobody ever complains, or they were done a long time ago. And I know that $500,000 is a lot of money.
So we're just gonna let it fall into disarray?
Well, I suggest that you do a phased, do the worst windows, do one side of the building, do two sides now and two sides later.
I'll pass it through to the owners.
All right, but we're not saying no to window replacement, but we're saying that they need to match the original windows, that filling in isn't an appropriate preservation practice.
But we still have to do the replacement of the window. We can't
Right,
fix it.
it needs to match have you been to Southern Sash? Is that where these came from?
I'm sorry?
Southern Sash, have you been to Southern Sash?
No.
Okay, it's a good place here in town, a big place here in town with a lot of replacement windows, vinyl, aluminum, fiberglass, everything. I'd suggest you work with them and see if you can come up with a better window.
Okay.
We want to pass this till next time, so Mr. Dumm may have an opportunity to investigate.
We can pass till next month.
Okay.
All right.
I move that we table this request until the next business meeting. What's June's meeting, please?
June 27th.
27.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Tyler Bell.
Hey, how are you all? My name is Andy Graydon. I'm here to represent Tyler.
Okay. 2316 East Cloverdale Park.
That is it.
All right.
So he is looking to replace some existing aluminum windows on his ranch home there in Cloverdale.
This was a nice presentation and had everything I needed in order to make a decision.
Yeah, he did a great job.
I have two comments.
Okay.
Windows that have mutton bars that go across they don't need to be the clear view, but they need to be a clear view with a mutton bar that goes across. So if it had a mutton, it needs to still be there, even on this window. If it didn't have a mutton, like a couple of them on the back didn't, then that's fine.
So you're saying where there were originally double hungs, where we're going back with casements, you
Yes,
still want a mutton
it just
bar?
needs to have a bar that goes across so that it still looks like a double hung.
Is there a historical significance to the double hungs in a ranch home like this?
Yes, there is. As a matter of fact, those horizontal 2/2s were a ranch house staple. It's when those windows first became popular.
Double hungs?
The horizontal 2/2 double hungs, that's the first time you saw them was on a ranch house. You're looking at me like you don't believe me.
No. I'm just, it's more just aesthetically, the windows. I mean, some of his original reasons for changing it, obviously newer, more energy efficient windows, but then also to meet egress, since he's got all these bedroom windows, which the new ones would. And I understand adding a mutton bar would not change that. I'm just curious if y'all would ever consider just aesthetically how they look, and then also giving him better views to his yard and side of his property.
Well, I am considering how it looks, because the whole thing about ranch houses was they're supposed to be like
Horizontal.
Horizontal.
Yeah.
And if you put the bar across the windows, it's one of those things that reinforces that horizontal idea.
Do you think that since the openings are still the same and still as a whole or kind of that horizontal proportion, do you think that helps at all?
It does, if the bar is across, it's going to have more of the historic appeal. I can see I'm making no headway with you with this. Someone help me.
I don't know that I have any issue with removing the horizontal. The house is horizontal enough as it is. That's my opinion, at least.
All those years of education my father paid for nothing.
I think I say one of my problems, but I guess I just feel like it just seems kind of fake to slap up a mutton bar on a window that's not a double hung to make it look like a double hung.
It's just a division of the window. You don't have to think about it being, because some of them are awnings, it's just a division of the window light. Does anyone in the audience have something to say about this project?
Rob Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. We defer to the board in their wisdom.
Thanks, Rob.
Although I do have to support Ms. Brown in that the louvered and casements with the horizontal lines are, in fact, character of the ranch homes and the mid-century moderns of that era.
Thank you. Are we ready for a motion?
Andy, would there be a problem to put the bar across the window to make it look similar to what Miss Elizabeth
The
said?
original windows, not what Ms. Brown wants.
Yeah, the original look. Yeah.
What she has suggested, would that be difficult, or I can't imagine it would.
I mean, technically difficult, and I don't think it would be. I'd have to ask the window supplier.
All right.
Madam
Ma'am?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you, Cedric.
Yes, ma'am, that the windows be approved with the addition to the muttons as you requested. If-
On the ones that have one, because there are some
Yes,
windows
on
that
the
have
ones that
nothing.
have.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Kenneth Reddick with Phillips Studio, request for approval of window replacements at 649 Cloverdale Road. We're going to have to call this window replacement night.
Hello. Hello, y'all. I'm Keith
Hello.
Reddick, Phillips Studio. This is Phillips Sides. We're here just presenting this for the Durham the owners of the residence. You have any questions thus far? We're just replacing some what are currently vents in the attic space. We're actually fitting out the upstairs attic to be a livable living space.
Okay? I really didn't have any problem with this. I do know that on the top of the vents, there's a little piece of trim that does this.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get that back? Can we get that back in the opening at the top? I can't hear.
Yeah, a lot of those vents that have that, we're just basically putting the window behind that, so most of
Okay.
those kind of details should
Okay.
stay.
There's one that's missing, but I
Right,
think
right.
the only one I
Right.
noted. All right. Does anyone else have any questions?
Are the windows the same size as the existing vents?
Correct.
Okay.
The ones you see on that elevation there, the windows will fit the existing vents. Only the middle one there, we're changing out because we need that for egress. The one on the, I guess, to the left of the chimney, where the cursor is, right above there, that will be changed out to be wider just so we can get egress, because that will be a bedroom.
Okay.
And
But
that's
that-
on the side, not on the front.
Right, that's on the side,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. But the one on the front there, that one will just be fitting the exact current opening. And the one on the other side there is just fitting the exact opening.
All right.
Yeah, the existing windows in the upstairs area they're rotting, and we had a lot of actually damage because of the windows leaking in that
Okay.
area, so. Yeah, Marshall Lumber is the ones building
Okay,
the windows.
good,
Yeah.
good.
So is it just 3 windows, or can you help me make sure I'm clear on what
I
you're
think there's
replacing?
4 windows. You have
4.
one existing, the double window there on the top, second floor there. We have one on the exact opposite side of the home. It's a single casement window. And the front, we have another window. Let's see. Scroll up.
At the top.
Right, there's one at the top. There's two on one side. If you'll scroll back up a little bit on the pictures. We're replacing that vent there.
That vent
That's
is
on the
gonna be
front
a
of the
window.
house. And keep scrolling up. There's 3 vents on that side. We're replacing 2 of them. One of them will take the, scroll up to the next folder, and you can see all 3. The one on the porch closest to us, that one is remaining as a vent. The other 2 are the ones changing into a window. The one on the left will be current size. The one above it on the bigger gable, that's the one we're changing, making it wider to make egress possible for the bedroom.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Is there anyone from, I'm sorry, Philip.
On the very back of the house, which you can, sorry, you get that, there's a little window in the bathroom.
Can you repeat that?
He
in
was
the
saying there's
microphone?
in the very back of the house, there's a window. It's in the bathroom, but it's right up against the property line. You can't hardly walk back there, much less see it from the road or anything.
Okay. Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this? Thank you.
Robert Hessiel, Cloverdale Association. We support the changes.
All right. May I have a motion?
Move to approve as submitted.
All in favor? Excellent. Thank you. This is going to be great, a great project.
Thank you.
Just glad somebody saw it, it's doing a pretty right.
Church of the Ascension, and you are not less cold.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our petition for work was submitted by our architect, Les Cole, who was not able to be here tonight. So I will be presenting the project along with our rector, Candace Frazier. My name is Don Vaughn. I'm a member of the Church of the Ascension. Our work request is pretty straightforward. The board has previously approved our addition of a labyrinth garden to property that the church has recently acquired on the north side of our church. As we developed our plan for the labyrinth garden that you did approve, we decided or realized that we needed to provide access, handicapped access to the labyrinth garden. And the best way to do that is around the east side of the church. There's already a sidewalk there, but we're probably going to need to widen the sidewalk. We're going to move some air conditioners, relocate some air conditioners. And there's a magnolia tree in that area that was planted by the church decades ago to delineate the northeast corner of our property. Well, we've acquired new property behind the church, so we're proposing a willow tree to be planted to delineate the new northeast of our corner of our project. Of our property. So we have new property boundary. We're planting a willow tree to delineate the northeast corner of our property. And that tree, there's a magnolia tree that I mentioned that really needs to be removed to facilitate the construction of handicap access to our new labyrinth garden. And that's our request, to be able to remove that tree.
All right. Anyone from the audience to speak to this? Ms. Callaway?
Laura Callaway, Garden District Preservation Association. Since this is not a tall canopy tree, we do not have any objection to it.
Any other comments? I'd say you're on your way.
Paula Weiss, I live across the parking lot from the church. This tree is on the other side, but it is a good tree. I mean, it can be trimmed. People trim magnolias all the time. But it's just, I don't see taking out a perfectly good tree, which absorbs groundwater, by the way, and that's going to be one of the big things with this one. And willow trees are not near as pretty.
It's a willow oak, and we love all trees, but this one's in the way.
Well, it has sadly outgrown its location.
Yeah, it's been there for decades, absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Benet, 1349 South Perry. I've walked the property, and it's a beautiful tree. I can understand why people love cutting down trees that are kind of in the way, but it appears that there's lots of room for handicapped access to that property. They have access from the front on the Hall Street side, and they also have access from the back. I think it'd be a shame to cut down a large, mature tree just simply because the architects can't figure out how to place an extra handicapped access to a huge piece of property.
You gotta love it.
I'm sorry he's not here to hear that.
I guarantee he's heard it before.
Any other comments?
The tree does not appear to have been pruned or cut back any time in the past several years.
Or ever?
Or ever. Maybe on the one side, but I would like to see if it could be trimmed back before it's removed. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's bottom line. Have you looked into pruning it, trimming it up, give it a good haircut?
No, there's an elevation difference between Hull Street and the Labyrinth Garden. There's about a 5 to 7 foot difference in elevation.
Okay.
And the handicapped access that we want to improve around this eastern side would be accessible and usable by the public, not just church personnel, because there are steps coming down from Hull Street. And this would provide an opportunity for access to that site when the church is locked. Honestly, it will be usable for people, members of the community, outside of the church personnel.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There's an existing sidewalk between the tree and the building currently, is there not?
There's a narrow sidewalk, and part of our renovation is relocation of some air conditioners from the west side of the building where there's a driveway access into some homes, and we're converting that into we're enlarging the kitchen inside of the, this is called the Joshua House building. We're enlarging the kitchen. We're providing access on that end for caterers to bring foods and materials in for activities that might be occurring in the garden and inside the building. So this, in relocating the air conditioner, we're going to have to relocate that sidewalk, which would mean moving it further to the east and widening it for handicapped access.
Is there any, what's the reasoning behind a willow tree? Is that,
Now,
is there some liturgical reason for planting a willow tree, is I guess what I'm asking?
it's a willow oak, as I understand.
Oh, okay,
I'm not
a willow
a
oak.
horticulturist. I don't know, but this has been a coordinated landscape plan. We've used a landscape architect to develop all the plantings within this area, and they complement one another.
Okay, a willow oak is not a willow tree.
Willow
A
oak.
willow oak is a
I'm
very
sorry.
substantial tree, and it
I'm
does
sorry.
well in our bad dirt, so.
So the willow oak was approved when we did the landscape
Okay.
design.
Okay.
And it was approved to become the new anchor of the
Okay.
property at that.
All right, all right.
I think I have a hard time with, based on where that existing wall is currently and that existing sidewalk, it looks like there's still enough room to fit the sidewalk in, even with the relocation. That looking at the plan, if the survey's correct, the plan indicates that if you could shift that sidewalk over, you're hugging that wall, but it would fit between the mechanical units and that existing retaining wall. And the grade through there doesn't seem like it's being changed that much. I have a hard time cutting down this mature of a tree when I think there can be access provided to the labyrinth garden without having to cut it down.
I think it was a poorly chosen tree for that spot. Magnolia trees require a lot of work in order for them to be successful. I mean, Richard Norris across the street from the church on Hall Street has beautiful, huge magnolia trees in his front yard, and they require relatively little work because they were chosen well for the size of the site that that they were planted in. This is not this tree was moved here, and it was not a good. It's outgrown its space. You could possibly cut it back and where it would become more of a magnolia bush and have it up against this wall, and it would do okay. But I know that the Church of the Ascension doesn't have all the money in the world to spend on landscaping either. And a lot of the things that we have been, a lot of the big trees that we have are going, and we need to be able to add something like a willow oak or some more substantial tree. I suspect that 20% of the tree removals we have at the Architecture Review Board are magnolias that were planted in the wrong place. And I think this is a magnolia that was planted in the wrong place. And it's going to be hard for it to look good and survive in this location. It's just, it was not a good choice to begin with. Motion, if there are no other comments?
Move to deny request based on the tree is a mature tree. It's not currently, from what I'm seeing, I understand it's large, but I do think it can be trimmed and possibly shaped to achieve the purpose or achieve the goal.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Motion carries.
Well, thank you very much. When we
Thank
get
you.
the garden finished, y'all are all invited to have a glass of wine with us
All right,
in the
thank
Labyrinth
you.
Garden. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Norman Bridge Court, I believe is our next project. 1931 Norman Bridge Court, the rail and the columns, correct?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Sarah Rogan, and I recently purchased 1931 Norman Bridge Court in the Garden District. When I was in the process of buying this house, I noticed that the roof area above the porch was drooping slightly. Then I received the inspection report, which indicated that a support beam was needed for that area. Additionally, I observed that the iron supports were rotting. I decided to remove the iron and to replace it with wood. I wanted to do this not only to fix a problem area, but also to make the porch brighter and give the house more of a cottage feel. My contractor began removing the iron from the porch on April 19th, 2023. Fortunately, my neighbor intervened and asked him if I had received approval for this project, and I'm very glad he did. I was not raised in Montgomery, and as a new homeowner, I was unaware of this process, though I'm aware that is no excuse. I told the contractor to stop all work so I could obtain approval through the proper channels. Currently, some of the iron has been pulled up, and there are temporary support beams in place. The porch I'm envisioning is not unlike neighboring porches. I'm proposing 3 6x6 support beams, 5 forward board for railing, 2x2 pickets that are 4 inches apart, 2x10 beams, and a railing with 4x4 boards. The porch will be painted white from the historical palette, and the front door will be painted one of 3 approved colors, also from the historical palette. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I've provided pictures of the neighboring porches, the porch rot, the inspection report, the porch as it is now, and thank you for your time and consideration.
I just have one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that what you plan to do across the front is perfectly fine and a great improvement over that. But I think that you should just leave this black, unless this black metal handrail is completely rusted out or wobbly or something, I think you should leave it or replace something like it. The porch rail that you drew is going to be hard for somebody to grip. And this is unobtrusive, and it's very easy to get your hand around, so it really serves the purpose that it is meant to do.
So are you suggesting to replace all of it with wood but leave the handrail as metal?
Leave that handrail metal and leave it painted dark like it is, and it'll go away, and nobody will ever see it unless they need to hold on to it, and then it will be there.
Yes, ma'am, I'm fine with that.
All right, that's my only comment.
I mean, it's not, Sarah, it's not rusted or anything, that handrail, okay?
I haven't looked at the handrail. It was more the corner portion at the bottom that was super rusty in those pictures I provided. But no, I can check the handrail and make sure it's secure.
Okay. Any other comments? A motion?
Did you ask from the, anybody?
Oh, I'm sorry. Laura, would you have something to say?
Laura, what you got?
Laura Calloway, Garden District Preservation Association. I am not familiar enough with that time period or style to know enough about what is appropriate on it. So if the board is happy with what's been proposed, then we're happy as well.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And a complete submission too.
I like it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Shane Penn. I'm the owner of Capitol Avenue, Capitol Parkway, 105 North Capitol Parkway. First of all, I want to apologize for painting my brick veneer. I was unaware that you could not paint the brick veneer. I was aware of the colors of the neighborhood, but unfortunately I was not aware of painting the brick. And the shutters, I was honestly unaware of this too. I would like approval on the painting of the brick and the shutters on this property. And there's also a parking pad in the back that I put in, a gravel parking pad, so you could park in the back of the property instead of parking on the street. There was gravel back there before, but it was very old. I don't know the dimensions of the old gravel pad that was back there. I just went back with adequate amount for parking. I did see a suggestion about a border to contain the gravel, which was fine with me, if whatever y'all recommend there. And that's about it.
Is there anyone from the audience to comment on this project? No one from Capitol Heights? Right. Anyone from the board?
Was this a red brick house, or what was the brick's color?
It was a peachy pink brick. The shutters were plastic shutters from like a Home Depot or Lowe's. And then the gravel in the back was like a brown pea gravel.
John, would you like to see a picture?
Yes.
What, a before picture of the house?
Yes.
Yes.
Here it is. Oh, there we go.
It's not great.
It's a non-conforming house. Yeah.
Was this a painted brick, Shane? Before?
Before it was not painted.
Okay,
It's just pinky color.
okay.
Very, very pink.
I had just noticed other houses in the neighborhood that had some painted brick, like the one next door there at the bottom. I do realize it has siding as well. I just honestly didn't realize that you could not paint the brick veneer.
Some homes were painted, prior to designation of historic. It happens but yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, somebody's kind of grandfathered in, once something is historically designated, you can't just go up and say, hey, you gotta take the paint off your house, so.
I would be willing to try to get the paint off if y'all recommend that, but I don't know if that's...
Well, you're not the first person that's done this, and I think Madam Chair has recommended a couple of things before, haven't you, ma'am, to remove, somebody has, I know. There's something for that.
There are paint removers, but it is hard to do, and it's very expensive. And on a house that's non-conforming to the neighborhood, it almost doesn't seem worthwhile. I will say that in a neighborhood like Capitol Heights, that you wouldn't have had something that looks like unpainted wood on the outside, like for the shutters. And I would suggest that those need to be painted rather than being left undone. Then painted a dark color, like a gray to match the roof, or a dark green.
I could easily paint the shutters.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments?
It's really cute.
I'm sorry?
It's really cute.
Thank
It is
you.
an upgrade. It looks really
Thank you.
Yeah, this is the one time that I would have to say I think painting it made it look a little better. That was a bad brick selection in my opinion.
Yes, agreed.
Don't kill me, Miss Brown, but
I would have minded it less if it were painted a darker color.
yeah,
But
yeah.
as I said, it's a non-conforming house in the neighborhood, and it looks no more non-conforming now than it did then, before. So there's no reason to.
I'll have to say, when I saw the photo of the original color and what you did, I thought, yeah, that actually does kind of, but I do agree the shutters need, they need to be adjusted to fit our, painted, like Ms. Brown said.
So y'all recommend a brown color shutter?
A color off the palette.
Okay.
And as Paul can get you.
There's a turquoise on the palette.
A dark color
A
off the
dark
palette.
color.
Dark color.
Yeah. There is a bright turquoise on the palette. I don't want to see the turquoise on this house. Unless you're going to move it to the beach, then that would be appropriate.
Wonderful. Definitely a dark color off the palette.
Yeah. All right. May I have a motion?
Oh, we also have to talk about the parking pad.
Parking pad in the back.
It's in the rear. I don't, do we really?
Ms. Bell.
Oh, do we really have to do anything with the parking pad considering it's in the back?
Yes,
of the
it's a
house?
violation. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, separate. Do we gonna separate them?
No, I think that he just needs to put a
border around.
Just some kind of border
put
around
something
it.
to contain the gravel.
Sir,
around the edge.
just to keep the gravel from, it tends to spread sometimes either due to weather, parking, whatnot. Anything from, a nice brick or railroad ties are always good if you can find those sorts of things. They work very well, especially, this kind of gravel.
Okay.
And when y'all make a motion, can you please give a time frame for him to have that work completed?
Yes.
I failed to ask for that last month.
Yes. May I have a motion, please? Where is John Fauché when you need him? I move that we approve after the fact, the painting of this brick, and further ask that the shutters be painted a dark color off the palette, and that the gravel parking pad in the backyard be have a border to contain the gravel. Brick, concrete, preformed concrete, railroad ties, wood, something like any of those things would be appropriate. Yes, it is in the back.
Okay.
Second.
How much time, just real quick, how much time do you need to get like the painting and the borders, Mr. P, I mean, 60 days, 70, 90 days?
I typically do that stuff myself, so I could do it within a month.
So certainly you can do it within 60 days, okay.
All right. And all that work to be completed in 60 days. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And if you do anything else outside trying to change the look, please come to us first.
Well, I've learned a lot.
Hey, it happens. You're certainly not the first person that has had to come and ask permission after the fact.
I've learned a lot here because I got a house in Old Cloverdale that I'm working on too, on the inside. So yeah, I've learned a lot from this.
Don't do any work outside without coming then. You've been warned. All right, Patrick Dumm, 1123 Westmoreland Avenue, Old Cloverdale. Welcome to approval after the fact part of our agenda tonight.
Violation portion of our show.
Yes.
What was wrong with the trees?
They were brown on the top and limbs were falling out regularly.
Do you have any pictures of those trees back then, or any pictures from any damage sustained from falling limbs or anything like that?
Besides what I can't say I took any pictures.
Okay, I was just asking.
Miss Bell.
I know I saw it up sections about 6 foot long of what came down and have put them out for when they do yard pickup every week. So I took a lot out before that point, but that's about all.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
In regards to the trees, because you got a picture with two large stumps.
Yes.
One tree was dead, the other was green. The violation is for the green tree.
All right, thank you.
I was going to ask, I mean, this is about the taking down of one tree, but there were two stumps, so one was dead?
One was dead, we don't care.
Okay.
The green one's the one that resulted in the violation.
Gotcha.
Mr. Dumm, are you in favor of a replacement tree? Hopefully they replace both of them, but at least the one that is in violation.
Yeah, I had, what did I put? I'm trying to remember what I had. I'm open to suggestions. I think on what I had submitted, we had put overcup oak, I think.
I don't see that. Mr. Stringer?
Yes, Russell.
We did discuss that when it came in the office to fill out an
I
application.
think it was the extra tree sheet. I had a copy here.
So, Mr. Stringer, you're working with them on a replacement?
Yes, but I have a question to ask the board if they're willing to consider it. Cloverdale is known for their big old pine trees. We plant a bunch of oaks to replace pine trees that we lose. What do y'all think about replacing some pine trees with pine trees?
I'm fine with that.
Certainly not an uncommon tree.
You are the czar of trees.
Hey.
Is this
No, it's okay. If that's okay with you, I'm thinking it might be the case here.
What species of pine tree are we talking about?
Well, I'm going to stop before I go on at great length. These were probably loblollies.
Okay.
And if I can find them somewhere for you, I would rather you do that.
What were they?
It's a loblolly pine tree.
Okay.
They're easy to prune, quick to grow. A new one's not going to be an issue, so yeah.
Is it something that's sometimes not readily available? I mean, it sounds like you're a little hesitant if you can
Because
find one.
every nursery grows oak trees because everybody wants an oak tree. Nobody ever says, I want a
understand.
pine tree. But they are available because our new waterslide park has got several in their landscape. They did come from a local nursery, and that put me in mind of that. So,
All right.
May I have a motion on the project? Did we have somebody to speak to this? I'm sorry.
Robert Hessiel, Cloverdale Association. The members met a few weeks ago and discussed this, and they wanted to defer to the board as far as the replacement, but would like to see the fine increase because we don't want neighbors feeling that they can cut down a tree, come in here, promise to replace it with a tree, and have no other consequences. Other than that, we'll defer to the board.
Legally, can we fine anybody?
No, ma'am, that would have to go to
thought
court,
not.
which means you would have to deny the removal, and we would have to take it to court.
So, good idea, but no. Well, tell them that we don't have the authority to fine. Okay.
Mr. Dumm, I would definitely say if you would have came and asked us to remove this tree, I would have said no. But Madam Chair, if he's willing to work with Mr. Stringer on the replacement of these two trees with species that our urban forester feels is appropriate, I'd make that motion.
All right. I second it. All in favor? Opposed? All right. Let's plant some
I think there's what's the limit on fine, like $500 or something? It's not, I mean, I don't know if it's anything. I'd rather him spend that money toward putting a nice tree back in his yard than go through those hoops. You understand what we did today, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure sometimes.
Russell,
right.
what, the fine last time you went to court was $100 per tree?
That's correct. And that was after that case was argued for a half hour to 45 minutes.
In court.
So we have the cost of lawyers too.
Oh, God, lawyers.
Lawyers,
God.
honestly. Thank you.
Some are good, but
Jeremy Walker, 2423 Agnew Street. And he has not done anything. You are coming before you do the work. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, members of the Architectural Review Board. I have before you a request to demo my front steps and replace them. Just a little bit of background. I started renovating my home, I guess 12 to 18 months ago. On the inside, I started out with a kitchen that was sinking. I've got the wonderful prairie mud and floor problems like many of my friends and neighbors in
we
Cloverdale.
all got prairie mud.
So a kitchen turned into a bathroom, which turned into the den, which turned into the whole first floor, and then turned into the whole second floor of the house. So I'm winding down to hopefully getting much closer to the end, and now I'm on the outside of the house, so I wanted to be in front of you guys. So the steps are crooked and they're cracked in the middle. The plan is to replace those with a drawing that you should have in your packet. Nice brick steps, which will match the outside of the home. I've got aged brick, which should match pretty close to the house. And then a walk path from the steps over to the parking pad. And then the last thing I'd like to get done is the home back in the 70s or 80s, I'm not sure when, was actually a duplex. And there is an old orphan driveway on the left-hand side of the property that I'd like to pull up the concrete and replace it with grass and landscaping and have appropriate curbing down on the street for that.
Mr. Walker, I checked with engineering due to that being work that will be done on the right-of-way, and there's a name on here, and I will give it to you in your letter, of who to contact in the engineering department to work with them. The only question they had, is that actually a concrete runner, or is that used for drainage going towards the street?
It's a concrete runner that used to be part of a driveway back when they did two strips of concrete with kind of grass in the middle.
Okay.
It looks like they took up the one on the right, and they didn't take up the one on the left.
So it's not like this where it's actually used for drainage?
I think it's aged that way.
Okay.
But I think it's a driveway.
I was gonna say, it looks like it's settled from, I guess, years of parking. I'm sorry, Jeremy, did you say that you think that this was which runner is, what concrete is this, the one that was on the?
It's on the left of my house.
Yeah.
I know it's on the left of your house. Would have had been the
If you
left wheels of the car?
It would have been the
Yes.
left wheels of the car.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense if you look at the cut on the curb.
Yeah.
There's a part of the apron left on the.
Yeah, you can kind of look and see how wide the driveway is. That would have been the left side of that. My neighbor's gardening has kind of come over a couple of feet there.
And the whole front yard is sloped towards the street, so I can't imagine it'd be used for drainage.
Well, anytime somebody wants to take up concrete and put down green grass and vegetation, you're gonna have a hard time for me to say no to that. Usually folks want to take up green space and put in concrete.
Thank you. I included copies of a landscaping plan. I thought you guys might be curious about, kind of what the bigger strategy is. And that's for just informational purposes.
We like pictures. Yeah.
I'm weak with excitement from your landscape plan. It's very nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Would there be any railing to go with the steps?
I'm sorry?
Railing for the steps?
It's only 3 feet in height.
So you're not planning to put
do a
anything back?
railing. No, sir.
So you're gonna remove the old steps and that, I guess it's wrought iron kind of railing that's there, just remove that?
Yes, sir.
Replace the steps. Are you gonna have to repair that front stoop? Is there a crack? I can't barely see. I have a neighbor that has a duplex. This same thing happened. Wide concrete, split right down the middle, one unit's here, one unit's there, but anyway, you had to redo that. Are you gonna have to do any repair on the front landing, or is it okay?
I think it's okay. Structurally,
I
it's
just
sound.
noticed sometimes the crack continues onto the landing, but if it didn't, great. But yeah, those steps definitely need to.
They're actually separate units. The steps are separate. They're not attached.
Oh, yeah.
To the landing itself.
Sure. I mean, they would bring them in, set them down, and for a long time, everything looked great and wonderful. Then over years, it's prairie mud, prairie soil. So you're going to have shifting, settling, and eventually with these, you're going to crack.
Mr. Walker, would you happen to know the dimensions? I have the front steps at 3 feet by 12 feet. I don't do architectural scales, I do engineering.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then I'm unsure of the walkway.
I think the 3 by 12 is pretty close.
Okay.
It will not be any wider than the current porch
Okay.
that's on the front of the house. I don't think it would look right or appropriate with the home to go any wider than that. And then the steps will be, I would think, 4 to 5 feet in width, kind of from there, wrapped around to the driveway.
Okay.
And the walkway, what is it going to be? It looks like it may be brick and concrete.
We're looking at doing stone there, kind of flat pavers.
Those are easier to, after they settle a while, those are easier to, obviously easier to, shim a little bit so that you can get them back even. So that'll look nice. I like that.
As an old person, I would say that I would prefer that you have a handrail, but I don't have any authority to make you have a handrail.
We can say that he needs to coordinate with the building department on that. As far if it meets code, then it's fine. If it's
I sure
not,
don't want to make him put a rail around the edge of the porch either. Well, I don't know, it's probably not quite far enough off the ground, 30 inches.
Well, he said it's 3 feet.
Well, if somebody looks at it and said it's in violation because it doesn't have a rail, we can come back at that time. I don't know if a rail on something like this is absolutely required.
I didn't say it was required.
I know.
just
Oh,
said
I
would be
agree.
crawling on my hands and knees up the steps.
I'm to the point in life too. I love me a good handrail.
Yes.
But then again, not my house.
I didn't used to have a handrail in my house either, but it came with time. All right, this looks wonderful, and I think you're doing a great job, and we appreciate your coming before you did the work. Your drunken brick is just fantastic.
Thank you.
Montgomery did a good job with that. And, you know, it makes the fact that the brick on the prairie soil settling, it makes all that look like it's just appropriate. It's right. You can have a lot of things go wrong with the front of your house with drunken brick without it looking like, oh, they had to repair their brick. All right, a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve pending building department says hand railing is not required.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? There we go.
Thank you.
What? Thank you. I don't know why I suddenly,
Okay, Rob, you
I cannot
good?
remember.
Okay.
It's been a long meeting.
It has been a long meeting. Thank you.
Approval of the minutes?
Yes, does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes provided?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All right, and all in favor, yes. All right, and